7:20 back here on BT. We are talking the federal election under 4 weeks to go until, as you mentioned, Jody, the finish line. Nancy, associate editor over at Maclean's magazine, joining us once again and talking about strategies and plays and debates. And Elizabeth May from the Green Party decides, if I'm not going to be included in a debate, I'm going to take this to Twitter. And this was an effective means for the political narrative.
Absolutely. I think Elizabeth May in every election shows us why we have to take her seriously and that party seriously. She's a formidable campaigner. And the other night, she's blocked out of the debate, so she takes to Twitter with her "Sorry, Mr. Harper," her fact checks. I think she got almost as many views as that debate.
Now, when it comes to debates that do exclude federal party leaders, we look south of the border. I mean, we see a Republican debate that has 15 people on stage. Why not have at least the invitation go out to Elizabeth May and Gilles Duceppe when there's a major debate? Absolutely.
I mean, in the earlier debate, the Maclean's debate earlier this spring, we did have Elizabeth May, and she was incredible. She came out, I think most people thought she was the most impressive performer that night. So she's made a case for herself time and again, and I just don't understand why we're not inviting her.
As the public, can we do anything to, as we continue along this path of debates, have a voice in saying, why aren't all the party members
I think we just continue to do what we're doing and make this an issue. And I think she's got a lot of supporters that really want her there.
And what would you say? I mean, 7 weeks in, we had an early election campaign this time around. The major milestone of what's been accomplished over these just under 2 months now.
Well, I think Mr. Trudeau has made a great case for himself. I would have thought going into this election that Mr. Mulcair would have pulled ahead. You would have seen the NDP do formidably, and I think instead what you've seen is Mr. Trudeau and the Liberal Party have made a case for themselves, and I think that's a real win for that party.
It seems very neck and neck if the latest Ipsos poll is correct.
Neck and neck.
Neck and neck. What is it, 32, 34, and 34?
Yeah, depending on what poll you believe.
And so let's talk about polls and how we can believe in those polls. British Columbians know all too well in the last provincial election what it was like to hear the polls, and then on actual election day it was very different.
Yeah, we were going to have an NDP majority if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think particularly in British Columbia, particularly in the West, we just can't trust polls anymore. I think they give us a they give us a snapshot of what's happening, but I think they're not telling an accurate picture anymore.
And you know, speaking of pictures, this next month is crucial for you know, the ultimate outcome of this. What do you think we're going to see from each individual party about getting specific with initiatives and ideas rather than generalizations? Well,
we've got a logjam right now, and how do you break up a logjam? It's when one pulls ahead. And so I think what we're going to see is more of what we've been seeing in this last week, where Mr. Trudeau stakes a claim like he did the other day with the F-35s. He's going to cancel that program, he says, and it forces Mulcair's hand. And so I think it's going to get ugly. It's going to get angrier, and you're going to see Mr. Mulcair and Mr. Harper try to stake out their own territory. And I think Mr. Harper gets to kind of sit back and let them fight amongst themselves.
It really was fascinating with the F-35s. For those who don't know, that's the fighter jet investment that Canada has made. It's a very high-end, expensive jet, and Justin Trudeau has said we can get bids on that and take the excess cash and invest it in the Navy. So, and it's interesting how they didn't want to really talk about it, and Justin Trudeau, as you said, is really pushing the envelope and forcing Thomas Mulcair to not sit in the middle. How important is it for him to sit in the middle?
Well, what's really interesting is that before this campaign, in the last year, Mulcair has staked out his policy planks, and it was great because it made him seem